Hey, this is John. Welcome back to Modern Old School Developer. In this episode, I want to work on alphabetizing our movie list while ignoring English articles in the title if we have them. So if we have a movie like The Dark Knight or An Affair to Remember, I don't want to sort by an and the. I want to sort by dark and affair. So let's see what we can do about making that work. If we go into our CRUD and go look for Get Movies, we can see that the database is already sorting things for us based on the studio, series, and movie name. Now, that's great, except I don't know any way for the database to sort things while ignoring the articles. Maybe there's some trick I don't know about, but like I said, I don't know it. So we're going to have to think of some other way to sort things. So our options would be to sort things outside of the database. That's an option, but I don't like that option that much. It's possible, but I'd prefer to keep sorting in the database. It's a very simple function, and we can sort by all these columns very easily. So that's kind of a nice built-in optimization. So let's leave that alone. Our next option would be to enter our names differently. We could say Dark Knight, the, and that would sort things properly. But I hate the idea we have to do it manually, and I don't like the way it looks either. So I'm going to go ahead and nix that idea. So what are our other ideas? Well, what if we transformed the name before we put it into the database and then untransformed it when we returned it? Well, that would work, but it adds a lot of computational complexity. We've got 3 columns here to sort by: studio, series, and movie. We have to do that for all 3 of them. So anywhere you get the studio name, series name, or movie name, we have to think about, is this the translated name or the untranslated name? And who's doing the translating and untranslating, and when? So that's kind of a complicated mess that I don't really want to deal with. It's possible, and maybe it's even the better solution, but it's not the one I'm going to go with. So, after all that, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to make some additional columns in our studio, series, and movie table. And these are going to be called sort name. And we're going to basically take the name and translate that into a more sortable name. We will lowercase everything, we'll throw away all characters that aren't alphanumeric, and we'll ditch the article at the front of the string. So that will add a little bit of storage, but I'm not too worried about this in this demo application. So if you can think of a better solution, I'd love to hear your comments. All right, so let's go into our models, and let's look for our series table, and let's add a new column called the sort name. It's going to be just like our name column, so just with a different name. So we'll do that. We'll go into studio, and we'll add that column there, and movie, and add it there. There we go. We now have a sort name column on all 3 of these tables. So we need to actually, use that sort name, because I said it can't be null. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's go into our CRUD, and let's look at when we add a series. So I want to say sort name equals what exactly? We need a function that will generate a sortable name for us. So let's say util.generate sort name based on the name. So that's what we'll do for that. So let's go ahead and do that in both the studio and inside the movie table. So add movie is here somewhere. So yep, we'll go put that right there. Yeah, that looks good. All right, and now we need to make that function generate sort name. So let's go right in here, and we'll say define generate sort name. It takes a name, which is a string, and returns another string. All right, so what are we going to actually return here? Well, we need to return a regular expression substitution, because that's how I'm going to filter out the stuff that I don't want in there. So let's start by saying return re.sub, and the first thing we have here is the pattern that I want to replace. So we're going to replace articles at the beginning of the string. I want to anchor this to the start of the string. I want to make a group. It is a non-capturing group, and it's going to be either a or an or the. And finally, we'll add that space on there as well. All right, so that's good for that. And now we have what we want to replace it with. And in this case, it's going to be nothing. I want it to be deleted from the string. And finally, we have the actual string we need. And that's going to be the name.lowercase. All right, so that's good. But I also told you that I wanted it to replace all of the non-alphanumeric characters. So let's do that as well. And we can simply nest this right here. So let's do re.sub. And let's put that down there. And we're going to replace the regular expression. And this time, we're not going to anchor it. We want all of the instances. We're going to have a character class. And it's going to be anything that is not a lowercase a through z, or a number, or a space. So there's our pattern. We replace that with blanks. We have our name.lower. And there we go. That should be good. So we're going to return this regular expression substitution. So hopefully that will just work. One more thing we need to change is we can update our movie name. Now, we can't update studios or series name, but we can update movies. And we might need to update the sort name after we update the movie as well. So let's go down into Update Movie. And we'll go right here. We'll say if movie name is not equal to data name. And if that's true, we have a new name. So we're going to need to update our series name our sort name as well. So we'll say movie.sortName is going to be generate sort name. I don't want it to be like that, I think. Generate sort name, yeah, based on data.name. Okay, so that should fix that problem too if we update things. So is there anything else that we need to do? I don't think that there is, except, yes, there is. In our get all movies, we are wanting to sort by sort name now, not by name. So let's say sort name. Okay, so now that should be good. So let's go take a look at that. If I go over here. All right, so here is our movie list. Doesn't it look great? Okay, I erased database. We need to go import our movies again. Let's do that, and we'll import movies. All right, there we go. Got our movies in there again. So, what do we have here? Hey, looky there. Curse of the Black Pearl is under Black Panther. The Dark Knight is there before Day After Tomorrow. I think this might have worked. Yeah. So, and The Lion King is down there after Jurassic Park. So, hey, that's looking pretty good. All right, so I couldn't actually think of any studios or series that had a or an or the in there, but I'm sure they exist. So I think it's good to go ahead and make that work as well. So, yeah. Now we have this sorting alphabetically and ignoring some of our names, which is good. So let's make sure some of our things work. So why don't we say this is the avatar? Why? I don't know. You can see it still sorts at the beginning, not with the thes. So that's fairly nice. And if I update this, yep, it's still sorting properly. All right, so yeah, I think that should be good. And if we just did T avatar, yep, it goes down there. And it won't sort on things like animated, so it won't sort on that and because we put the space in there. So if I say it's animated, it's still going to be up here. It's not going to be sorted by animated, or let's do that. Animated. See, it's still up here, even though we have the and there. But if I put the space in there, now it's sorted by the X. So there we go. We have fixed that. So let's change that back to avatar. And there we go. So we are now sorting things properly. All right, cool. All right, the next thing I want to tackle is parsing the file name on import. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say we have accidentally removed this movie from our database. Well, I imported it back, but it lost all the information. There's no actors or categories, studios, series. It's all just kind of stuck here in the file name. So that's not the best user experience. what if we could parse the file name and try to get some of the information out of it and use that for our new imported movie? So yeah, let's do that. Let's open back up VS Code and let's go into our main section here. Inside import movies is where we're importing our movies right now. So all we do is take the extension off the file name and call out the name. We can do better than that. So let's make a utility function that parses the file name. Let's call it, I don't know, parse file name. Sounds good to me. Define parse file name. It's going to take in a file name, which is a string. It's going to return something. I'm not sure yet what, but we'll figure that out in a little while. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to move this. I don't want to split the extension off yet. I'll do that inside our parse function. So we'll start with that. And we need to say os.path.that. There we go. And make that file name. All right. So the next thing is to match our file name. And our file name has a lot of possibilities. We have this pattern basically. So we have series number, name, and actor, with extension. Except we won't have extension anymore because we got rid of that. But we have all of these other things, and they can be in any combination. We might have a studio, we might not. Might have a series, or a series number, or a name, or actors. All of these different sections are optional, and we have to account for that when we do our matching. So I'm going to use a regular expression, and it's going to get a little complicated, but I will try to explain it as best I can. Let's start off by saying regex equals, and I'm going to put this inside parentheses so that we can put our string on multiple lines, because it's going to be a very complicated regex. So I'm going to start with anchor tags. I want to anchor the beginning of the line and the end of the line. So that's where we're going to sandwich our regex between. Next, I want to see about matching the studio. So, do we have a studio? Well, if we had a studio, it would be within square brackets. So let's put those in, and we need to escape those because square brackets mean something in regex, so we need to escape those. And inside those, we need to capture the studio. So we'll use a capturing group, and within there, we're going to use a character class. So again, square brackets, but this time we don't escape them. So I'm going to say that it's possible to have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, spaces, periods, commas, apostrophes, and dashes. That's what I think you could have in a studio or series or name or actor. Mostly, I think that should be good. We'll adjust if we have to, but that's where I'm starting with. And we're going to have at least one of those, if not more. So we'll use a plus sign to capture all of that. However, remember that this studio is optional. So we need to say that it's optional and say question mark there. I don't want to capture the brackets if we do have that though. So let's say this is a non-capturing group. All right, I think that's good for our studio. So what's next? Well, our studio is optional, so we may have it. If we have it, it might be followed by a space if we have a series number, name, or actors. But we can't be sure of that, so we'll put space and then a question mark. All right, so what next? Well, next we're going to match the series and the series number. So again, this is optional, so the whole thing needs to be optional. It has one of those braces things in there, so let's make this a non-capturing group, and we'll put the braces here. Now we've got two potential groups inside these braces. We have the series and the potential series number, so we're going to want two capturing groups inside there. And again, we're going to have these things in here, so this is going to be the character class for our series. And that should be good, except we need to make it a non-greedy match. Otherwise, these numbers that might be as part of our series, like if we had, well, I can't think of one, but if you had one, we don't want to match that because we want that to be part of our series number at the end. So at the end, we'll have 0 through 9 and at least one of those. So I think that's good, except we will have a space inside here. And that means we need to make this a non-capturing group and make this a capturing group, because we only want the number, we don't want the space in front of the number on our series number. I think we also need to say that this entire capturing group is optional. So we need to put a question mark right there, because we might not have a space and number. There might be a series that has no numbers in there, and there is no series number at the end. So the series number, the whole section there, needs to be optional. So the entirety of the series and the series number is optional, but within that, we might have just a series without a series number. We won't have just a series number, at least not the way I defined it so far. All right. Again, we might have a space if we have more stuff, so we'll say space with question mark to make that optional. And next, we're going to have our name. Our name is a little bit simpler. It's basically just our capturing group right over here. So we'll put that right here. Don't need it to be non-greedy though. And it needs to be optional because we might not have a name. So yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, I think so. So, okay, what else do we have there? Is that everything? Nope, we also have actors. So again, if we have anything before the actors, we'll need a space, so we'll say that again. And finally, we have our actors group, and it might be optional. So let's start off with a non-capturing group, which is optional. And then we're going to have our actors. And our actors are going to appear in literal parentheses. So we need to have escape the literal parentheses. And then we need a group of actors inside there. That's going to be a capturing group. And it's going to be, I think, just like this. I think so. We've got commas as part of that. So that should cover the comma and the space between the actors' names. Actors' names might be dashed if they hyphenate, might have apostrophes for O'Connell and O'Dwyer and names like that. Not sure there'll be numbers in an actor's name, but whatever. Let's leave it there for now. I'm going to avoid people like Kesha if they have $ names and just avoid that mess for now. And I think that should be everything. Does that look right? Yeah, I mean, I think so. All right, so let's talk about return values for this function. So we might not match this regular expression against our file name for whatever reason. So if that's the case, we're going to need some default values for all of these matches since we won't have any. So let's set up those. Let's say studio ID is none, series ID is none, series number is none, and actor IDs is going to be an empty array because it doesn't want don't want that to be none. And we're going to return those and assume that we couldn't match. So we're going to return a tuple of the name, the studio ID, the series ID, the series number, and the actor IDs. All right, so that's what we'll get if we don't have a match. So let's see if we do have a match. We'll start by making a matches object. So we'll say matches equals re.search. Our pattern is our regex, and we're matching against the name string, which we got up here from our file name. All right, so if we have some matches, in other words, if matches is not none, then I want to get all of the different match groups. So that would be the studio name, the series name, the series number, the name itself, and the actor names. And that's going to be matches.groups. All right, so that's a good start for that. So how are we going to get the studio ID or series ID from the studio name and series name? I don't have any way to get a studio from the database. So we have a couple of options. We could make a database query for this, or we could get all studios and then filter them down. So both seem like valid options, but I think I'll make a database query for this. So let's go into CRUD, and we've got one for get all actors. What about get actor? We have that too, but I want to get actor by name. So let's say define get actor by name, database session, name is a string, and it returns a models.actor. All right, and we will return basically this exact thing we're doing here, but rather than filter like this, we're going to say models.actor.name equals name. All right, and we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing for series and studio. So we can go ahead and add that for category too. I don't think we need category right now. We can go ahead and do that. So get category by name, and then change this to category. And we'll just copy this down to series and studio. So again, get series by name, and then this should be series. All right. And finally, I want get studio by name. So let's change this to studio and these to studio. All right, so that's a good thing for that. And we'll go back to our utility function, and we're going to say that studio equals crud.get studio by name, studio name. All right. So if we have a studio, so if studio is not none, then we found our studio. So our studio ID equals studio.id. All right, same thing for our series. Series equals crud.get series by name, series name. And if series is not none, series ID equals series.id. Actors is a bit more complicated because we have a list of actors and we have a comma-separated string of actors. So we're going to have to filter both of those things. So let's start by filtering our actor name string into an array of actors with each individual string. So let's say that actors equals, and we're going to need to do a split. Is that right? Or is it a string.split? I think it's a string.split. So it should be actor names.split, and we're splitting on a comma and a space. So that should be all of our actors. But I don't want that. I want the actor IDs for that, which means we need to do a list comprehension to get that. So it should be actor IDs equals, and not matches, I want to do a crud.getActor by name, and the name is going to be the actor, and we're going to get an actor here, so I want the ID, and we're going to say this is for actor in actors. So that should be pretty good. In fact, will this fit on one line? Hey, it will. Cool. All right, that's fine then. It might be kind of long. So yeah, that should be everything that we need. The get actor by name returns an actor, so we'll have that. And yeah, that should be pretty good. And we will get a blank list if we don't have any actors in there. So yeah, I believe that's everything we need. So if we have matches, we'll return all the correct properties. And if we don't, we'll return our default values. And anything here could be none. So even though we have series number as a match group up here, if we don't have a series number, it will return none still. Same thing for studio name, which I guess I need to check that real quick. So if studio name is not none, and we'll just indent all of that. Same thing down here. If series name is not none. And finally, if actor names is not none. Okay. Name might be none, but you know, that's how we're gonna end up having it. So And I think this should be good. So all we have to do now is go back into main and get our information. So I need to say that name, studio ID, series number, actor IDs equals util dot, we don't import util apparently, so let's say parse file name. We'll just import that one function there. So we'll say parse file name. It needs the database and the file. And there we go. So crud add movie. So we've got database file. Yeah, database file name, name. Looks like studio ID, series number, actor ID. That looks like it's all good just like that. So should be able to say studio ID, series number, and actor IDs. And that, I think, should all be good. So, and I hope that works. I guess we're about to find out. And I'm going to remove this movie. All right. It's no longer in there. But if I go import it, aw, sad, internal server error. That's unfortunate. I forgot to give these things database session. Needs two arguments, the database and the name. So let's do that and that and that. And hopefully that will work. We'll see shortly. Let's try it again. Clear the console, hit import. It imported one. And if I go over here, I see, hey, the name is The Curse of the Black Pearl, Disney, Pirates of the Caribbean, series number is 1. Didn't have any actors on that, but we could try that as well. Johnny Depp and Keira Knightley. All right, we go back over here. Yep, they're on there now. Oops, I made a mistake. I need to re-import that. This is getting kind of long over here. And let's re-import that. And we got an error. Oh well. Alright, so I did a fair bit of chasing my tail, trying to figure out why this was broken. And the answer is, it's not. This is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. However, that won't work, and it never would have. We just never actually used this functionality yet. So back in crud.py, we've got this add movie, and you can see I get a list of actor IDs and category IDs. Although they've always been none for now, so it didn't matter. But this is not valid. You cannot assign a list of actor IDs here. We need the actual actors. So this needs to be a list of actor and models.actor. And this needs to be a list of models.category. So that should work now. Let's say this is actors and categories. Yeah, spell categories, right? I mean, you don't, but I prefer if we do. Okay, so that would actually work, and that's why our program crashed. So let's actually go fix that in our utility now. So I do not want to get the actor ID, I want the actor itself. However, I'm not accounting for the fact that these could be null. So if we don't actually have the actor, like I'm checking for nuns here, but I'm not checking for them here. So I don't think we can use that list comprehension. We're going to have to build it up from scratch. So we'll do it this way instead. And let's rename this actor IDs. We'll just call that actors. And we'll say this is names, because I need a different name for that. And we're going to say for name in names, and actors is going to equal a blank list. So for name in name, we will do actor equals crud.get actor by name. Need the database there as well. If actor is not none, actors.append actor. There we go. Now we'll return the actual proper actor objects, and only the ones that aren't none, because that would cause us a problem too. And now we should be able to do this. So our app is still running. So let's go back over here, clear out this, remove this again. And finally, let's import movies. Hey, no errors. And if I go over here, yes, it has Johnny Depp and Keira Knightley. So there we go. We have successfully parsed our file name on the import. So we can cross that off of our to-do list as well. All right, that's a good wrapping up point for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something about regular expressions or something else that we did today. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help the channel grow, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.